Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier podcast, and of course, this is the Monday mashup, an earlier Monday mashup than usual, because we have the Leicester Liverpool game to cover from 8 o'clock. So we're going at 7 o'clock for this one. We're going to have a quick review of the Premier League results. We're going to have a quick chat about Arsenal and the title race, of course. Going to talk about Eddie Howe with that fan, absolutely crazy. And a few other bits to get into and stuff to talk to, a few videos to look at and stuff like that. And we'll get your thoughts on that stuff as well. I'm not feeling the May West tonight. I'm a little bit, tiny, a little bit fluey or something like that is what I feel at the moment. So, but we'll get through it. As they say, the show must go on. We'll also get the lineups as well. I believe the lineups are out shortly now for the Leicester Liverpool game. So we'll take a look at them shortly as well. But if you could head over to the YouTube channel, of course, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. And of course, drop a like down on the video as well. We'll take the early comments if they're in. Henry's in. How are you, Henry? Hope you had a good weekend. It's Monday. We're off to a flying start at the moment. What's the crack, Niall? Henry's in with the team. Excellent stuff. Allison, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Robbo, Hendo, Fab Jones, Salah, Gakpo, Nunes. Interesting. When I did the preview, I was thinking Diogo Jota, and a lot of people were always talking Luis Diaz as well. So that's an interesting one. Henry, let me know as well. Drop in the comments as well if you have the Leicester team. If you don't, no hassle. I'll pick it up here somewhere. Be interesting to see who they're going with as well. But I think it kind of nearly picks itself at this stage. They've got some injuries and stuff like that, so they don't have a huge amount of choices. I think Ian Atchell was still out injured as far as I know from the preview as well. I'm knackered, had a live earlier and have another one at 11. Fair play to you at 11. Good Lord. Burning the candle at both ends, but fair play. Content flying out. Also, make sure, folks, head over to Henry's channel, subscribe to it and stuff like that. Let's keep all these content creators' channels growing. Right, let's get into this Premier League preview. But before I do that, what I want to do is, and I want people to take note of this, of course, but we don't often congratulate Chelsea on this podcast, especially this season, because they've been an absolute mess. But congratulations to the Chelsea women, who are the FA Cup winners this year. I think it's their third year on the bounce, as far as I know. Didn't have it all their own way against United yesterday, but came up trumps in the end. So congratulations to Chelsea women on winning the Women's FA Cup. Big win for them. The men could take a note from what the women are doing there, but fair play to them. So congratulations. Right, let's get into this Premier League review. Where do we begin? Lunchtime Saturday, Leeds 2, Newcastle 2. Leeds taking the lead on 7 minutes with Ayling. Had a chance to double their advantage, but Bamford missed a penalty. Absolutely shocking, especially in the predicament that they're in. To be missing a penalty then is absolutely shocking. But they came up and drew 2-2. Newcastle bounced back, of course. Wilson with a penalty shortly, 2 minutes, I think it was, after the Bamford penalty miss. The Newcastle had taken the lead and then Leeds bounced back. So that's a result that keeps Leeds still in the hunt to avoid relegation. And it also did us a favour insofar as it keeps our top four race ambitions alive. But let's see how tonight's go. I mean, 3 points tonight. It's win or bust tonight, and it's win or bust all the way in for the last 3 games. So let's see how that goes. But Leeds obviously looking at how everything went, and if potentially we beat Leicester tonight, they'd be kicking themselves that they didn't take the 3 points. But Newcastle did have their chances. At times, Leeds had to ride their luck. Aston Villa 2, Spurs 1. Big win for Aston Villa. Keeps their ambitions potentially of European football alive. For Spurs, a poor result for them. And I don't know if anyone's seen that Harry Kane penalty. Good Lord. With everything we have available to us these days, between VAR and everything else, it's absolutely shocking. Shocking. Don't know how it was given, but it was. But Villa ran out 2-1 winners in the end, so the result was the correct result. Chelsea 2, Nottingham Forest 2. Forest taking the lead early on, but Chelsea bouncing back with a a quick fire 2 goals within the space of 8 minutes after half time. I think it was on 51 and 58. But Forest bounced back as well and scored, drawn 2-all. Interesting as well, because Chelsea could have a say in some of these positions coming up in the next 2 weeks and stuff like that. So we really needed Chelsea to kind of continue on and build from that win that they had picked up, but they didn't. Some comments. Now that's what I'm guessing, Niall. They are the real deal as far as Chelsea are concerned. Emma Hayes is brilliant, absolutely. And Henry, is it right? The girl Karen, is it? She popped up with the goal, didn't she? As far as I know, and she's done that a few times as well now, as far as I know. Kane should have been booked for simulation, absolutely. Great result for Leeds. It was a very good result for Leeds, but I think they'll be kicking themselves, because if they could have gone 2-0 in the lead with that penalty, I'm not sure whether Newcastle would have had, as Troy Deeney would say, the cojones to bounce back, because their mettle has been tested over the last few weeks, let's say, but we'll see what happens. They've got a huge game on Thursday, remember, against Brighton, who are absolutely, I mean, we're going to talk about Brighton and the Serbia and all, and the number they pulled on Arsenal yesterday and stuff, so unbelievable. Next up, we had Palace 2, Bournemouth 0. This is a concerning one for me, because this Bournemouth side looks like they've checked out now, and this is United's away game as Bournemouth, so we need Bournemouth to do something. Yeah, so it's a little bit concerning, but Palace as well, 2-0. I look at this boy SA and all. He's absolutely sensational, isn't he? 2 goals again at the weekend. But when you think about it, like, he wasn't even in. He was only on the bench for Patrick Vieira, and Patrick Vieira was there. So I can't understand that, you know. I think if he probably had played him more, they probably would have got some better results, potentially. And maybe Paddy Vieira might still have his job there, you know. So it's kind of a weird one. But Palace really doing very, very well under Roy Hodgson. We were talking relegation only a few weeks ago. They've gone on a tear. And fair play to them. Man United 2, Wolves 0. This is one I was going to listen to on the way home. I didn't see much of the game. United taking the lead, I think, on 38 by Martial. But Wolves were another team that's checked out. And I thought Wolves might have put up a bit of a fight, but they went out with a whimper. I know they stayed in the game. I think it was late on. Garnacho got the second goal. It was 90+4 or something like that. And I was listening to some content creators, United content creators and stuff like that. They were very, very nervous in that last 10, 12, 15 minutes. They were expecting something could happen, but it didn't. Wolves were terrible on the day, really, really flat. And United then getting the second goal sealed the deal, and that you could sense the relief. I know Darren was at the game. He'll probably talk about it on Thursday, gives his feelings on it and stuff like that. But United back shooting from distance and stuff like that, not playing the intricate passing that they should through the channels and those quick 1-2s and balls around the corner and stuff like that, just picking up the ball and shooting. But let's see what happens with that one, you know. So, but Wolves again, I expected that was one I was looking and kind of pinning on it. And after the Newcastle result, I was thinking we'd hardly get a couple of results again that goes our way after the previous weekend where it all went our way, but unfortunately not. Southampton relegated, Fulham with the 2 goals. And glad to see Mitrovic back. I thought the ban was quite excessive. I know myself and Darren had a chat about it on the Thursday show, but I thought that was a very excessive ban. And literally, that ban had a polar effect really on Fulham in terms of their season, stuff like that. Mitrovic has been unbelievable for them. Comes back into the team there and straight away on the goals, on the score sheet again, you know. So he's a huge player for them, and he was badly missed. Especially at times when they floundered and they just couldn't find a goal. But good to see them win. Sorry to see the Saints go down. 11 years, I think it is now, on the top flight. But this is what happened when you continually try to sell off your prize assets and try and roll that dice season after season after season. Eventually, it's going to catch you. And like, we're all talking about how great Brighton are, and we know how great Brighton are and their players and stuff like that. But what really concerns me is, you know, they're potentially going to lose some key players. They already have. They lost Cucurella. They've lost Trossard. They potentially could lose Matoma, They could potentially lose McAllister. They could potentially lose Caicedo. If they lose those players, are they rolling the dice as well? They need to be really, really careful. And it looks like they're going to have European football next season as well. Something that I think it's the first time in their history, is it? They've never had European football. And their highest finish in the Premier League, I think, in its history has been 9th. So it's unbelievable how they're performing as well. Don't forget, folks, QR code there on the screen as well. If you scan that, bring you straight into our TikTok page. And one that's out, a big appreciation. We smashed through the 700 there subscribers the other day. We're also really getting great support on TikTok and all around all the socials that we're doing and stuff like that, including the content creation and the shorts and the comments in them and all is great to see. So if you could keep that going, we really, really appreciate it. Big things hopefully coming. Brentford 2, West Ham 0. I think West Ham kind of knew the way the results went that they were going to be safe. Didn't put up much against Brentford. And Bremo, of course, outstanding, has had a really good season. All Brentford have had a really good season, but I think West Ham's eye now is on that second leg against Alkmaar coming up this week. It's going to be absolutely huge, and we wish them the best of luck. I hope West Ham win the conference. I really, really do. I'd love to see them lift a piece of European silverware. Great history in that club and stuff like that, and I'd be delighted as well for Moyes. I haven't been a big fan of Moyes down through the years and stuff like that, but I think I would like him to do something there, so it'd be really, really cool. Everton, Niall, let's get into these the rest of these Sundays. Everton 0, Man City 3. I speak to the Arsenal guys, all the lads on Dell's channel and stuff like that, Manny and all. They're great guys, Warren, the whole lot and all, but it's heartbreaking, and it's the hope that kills you. And like, we were 15 minutes away from winning the league last season. It's the hope that kills you every single time. And you've seen it there up to 38 minutes or nearly 40 minutes. Everton were in the game. It was 0-0. And then, if you're a fan of Arsenal, you're kind of thinking, could Everton pull something out of the back here? Could they do something? And the next thing, bang, bang, that goal from Gundogan was unbelievable. The flick around the corner, Pickford, no chance. And then the header. Have you ever seen a more animated header from a guy who's an absolute giant, that Viking Haaland? It's unbelievable. And then Gundogan again with a sublime finish. And just in the space of 2 minutes, you can be going along there for 38, 40 minutes, and you can think it's all rosy. We probably get something out of this today. It'll help our relegation problems. We might even nick a win. Who knows? And the next thing, bang, bang, 2 minutes, game over, checked out, done. And Man City were going easy on them, in fairness, then after that. Picked up a third goal. And I wonder, did the Arsenal players and the fan base think, well, maybe if City can go to Goodison, it's not an easy place to go to. Remember, Everton coming off the back of a huge win. I think it was 5-1 against Brighton in the previous game, which was a massive win to beat Brighton like that. And the Serbi did come out and say, you'll see the real Brighton at the Emirates. And boy, did we, and we will talk about it. But a massive win for Man City. Everton in serious trouble still as well. You can see there by the table. Barely outside it, clinging on. But it was massive. And then, of course, we move on to the real main event of the weekend, which was Arsenal versus Brighton. Brilliant game, brilliant matchup. Brighton winning 3-0. But from the get-go on this, Arsenal looked banjaxed. They looked flattered. They looked jaded. They looked dejected. They just didn't look up for it at all. And such a reversal of fortune when you think about it. They went up. They come off a number of bad results. And they went up to Newcastle and they put it up to Newcastle man for man. They puffed out their chest. They gave it everything that they could, and they beat Newcastle up there. And then they come down, and basically Brighton just look at the blueprint of what happened there, because they seen what Newcastle did to Arsenal at the Emirates. It was a lot of bullying and stuff like that and all. And Brighton just did the same thing. They said, when we go in and you bully this team, they just don't fancy it. And that's what happened. Arsenal at any point yesterday didn't look like they fancied that game at all. McAllister was unbelievable. Caicedo was unbelievable. Estepina was unbelievable on that side as well. I don't know if you got to see his heat map today. The whole of that side was just lit up with that guy. Unbelievable from Brighton there. Evan Ferguson being an absolute pest, kicking lumps out of lads, and it was good to see as well there. You see when Martinelli did Matoma, and then Caicedo did him and said, "Hey, don't be touching my boy." Get team bond and unity there. But Arsenal ultimately capitulating, losing 3-0. And you know, no disrespect, but Brighton are a really, really good team. They've done some number on us this season as Liverpool fans and in the past. So we know how good they are. And disrespect Brighton at your peril, no matter who you are. They're a serious team. And Newcastle might just find out on Thursday just how serious that team is. And I would love it if they went there and got a win. I'm just putting that out there now, praying that we get a win tonight. Let's take some comments. If Southey steps down as England manager, I would give the job to Emma Hayes. Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, Liverpool will be Thursday night football next season. Now, Acers, don't be saying that. Not yet. Give it time. Let it ferment. Nunez is out injured, but otherwise as is. Big up Henry. It's a toe injury for Nunez. Was he not in the starting lineup? No. Let me check that. Did he get injured in the warm up or something? Lads, let me know. And then of course I click on the wrong game. What the hell am I doing looking at Derry and Dundalk? For some strange reason. Let's see. So Nunez, did he hurt himself in the warm-up or something, lads? Let me know. Daz is in. Big up Henry. It's a toe injury for Nunez. Love it, Daz. Leicester is Everson, Pereira, Faust, Evans, Castagna, Ndidi, Sumare, Tillemans, Madison, Barnes, and Vardy. Yeah, I was thinking something around that. Yeah, that's Sumare, lad. I tell you, he's one to watch. Tillemans. Not too sure about Tillemans. He's an interesting one because he's kind of checked out and he's out of there, isn't he? Madison as well is obviously looking for a move as well. Not sure on Barnes, but it'll be interesting to know if they lose tonight. Those boys will be making arrangements. Henry, big up Daz. Big up Niall. How are you, Daz? Good to have you in the chat as always. What do you make of McAllister and Caicedo coming to us? I don't. Don't be getting me too excited now, Henry. I don't think we're going to get both. If we do, I'll be very, very happy. Anyone we sign that stops us bringing in Mason Mount, I'm going to be very happy about. I'm just putting that out there now. And okay, Daz. Yeah, absolutely. So that's your kind of roundup. Obviously, huge game tonight for both ends of the table. Leicester in serious trouble. Badly need to win. Of course, we need to win to keep this top four going. Daz, while it's strong though, where do you think we can pressure Leicester? I think looking at it now, I'm not too sure what formation he's going to even go with now, the way that's changed up. I think Luis Diaz coming in off the left can certainly do a number against Pereira. And he could also get a Faust as well. And Faust likes an L. He likes to he can be a bit erratic at times, which could help us a lot. I'm not sure what way they're going to go. They're going to go, looking at this, they're talking about Curtis in behind Cody Gakpo. I don't see that being the case because I don't see Gakpo being up that far. I think I'd nearly reverse that and probably put Curtis out on the right and put Mo more central maybe. That would be my thinking on it, and I think that's where they can be got at as well. I know if Mo was running at them, he could certainly cause troubles. Again, Johnny Evans has been really good, but he's only back in. So we could take advantage of that situation. He could be a little bit rusty and stuff like that. But I think certainly Mo Salah, if he was a bit more central and Cody feeding him, those runs off Johnny Evans and Faust could be big for us. That's where I could see it going. That's I've gone for a 5-1 win. Love it. Listen, I'll take a 2-1 right now. I'll take a 2-1 right now. Right, folks. What did we think of this yesterday? I was kind of thinking about it yesterday. This is the fan that got all the way to Eddie Howe. I don't know what was going on, but I suppose when you think about it, you think about like spectator and the officials, stewards at a match. They're literally spectators. They kind of sit down and they basically watch the match, basically. So everyone was kind of distracted by this, and this fan got all the way to Eddie Howe, which was a little bit concerning. At the time, I didn't think too much of it. But then I was listening to Talk Sport this morning. I was listening to Laura on Talk Sport, and she made a very good point. Like, what if this guy had a weapon or a knife or something like that and got that far to Eddie Howe? how dangerous and how violent that could have been. And I suppose that's the way you look at it. And I think that's where Eddie was coming from afterwards, you know. It wasn't the actual situation itself. It's the fact that he was able to get so far to Eddie Howe to confront him without being tackled or taken down or you know, dealt with, as they say. And if he had been very serious and this had been like amped up and stuff like that, how dangerous it could have been. And it's a good point. It's good to get a reminder like this to keep them stewards and security on their toes. And even Eddie Howe's own security, he was looking the other way. So like it's an interesting one and something to be aware of. But this is it. This next 2 to 3 weeks, this is where things get really ratcheted up and become absolute madness in the fan base. Fans not happy, potentially getting relegated, missing out maybe on European spots, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's really, really dangerous time, and it's a good reminder to be really, really careful. Speaking of which, we should talk about this. First of all, congratulations to Barcelona, La Liga champions, first time since 2019, and they did it without Lionel Messi. So there you go. So there is life after these great players, as they say. But I don't know if anyone's seen this. This was absolutely crazy. The Barcelona fans, they were away to Espanyol, of course. They were celebrating in the centre circle, and they were doing a circular kind of thing to celebrate and stuff like that. And the next thing, the fans started pouring on the pitch, going at the players. The players had to be rushed off the pitch. These are Barcelona players running down the tunnel there for their lives because they're being confronted by fans, and the fans are going in on security and everything. And it was a mad weekend for fans as well. We're going to take a look at a video as well of the AC Milan Ultras confronting the AC Milan team after a loss to Spezia. But they did support them at the end and say, listen, we know we're still in the Champions League. It's one last shot. Let's see what happens, stuff like that. But they were giving Pioli and the team a proper dressing down. And those players look fairly serious about it as well. Those Italian fans and those ultras, they're very, very passionate. And it was a weird one as well, because I was looking at it, and we'll take a look at it in a second, but I was looking at it and I was thinking, can you imagine a load of fans in the Kop dressing down Klopp and the players because of a performance or something like that? You know what I mean? It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it? But those boys don't mess around. They were serious. And I have to say, there was a number of different angles of this. I think I only have the back angle in the video that I'll show you now in a second. But I think if you look at the front angle there, Pioli's in the middle of the players. I think Giroud was front. And like, they are absolutely listening. And you'll see a man, this guy from the Ultras who was talking to them, he was absolutely laying it on the line to them that this is unacceptable. And ba. And in the end, they cheered them on and stuff like that. So they're together in this, especially with this huge game coming up tomorrow night and stuff like that. But we'll play the video and we'll have a look at it and see what you think after it. Yeah. So this is the video. So let us know what you thought of that. That's the AC Milan Ultras addressing AC Milan after losing to Spezia. Not happy with the result. You could see they were forcefully getting their point across that it's unacceptable. It wasn't good enough. You seen the guy leaning over the barrier. He was absolutely giving it socks. And it looks even more brilliant if you get it from the other angle. You can see, I think some of the Ultras actually recorded on their phones. You can see them looking down at the team, dressing them down. But in the end, they turned around and said, we go again on Tuesday. It's really, really important because it's a massive derby against Inter. The relations, say, in the San Siro. So really, really important. But it's mad to see this, isn't it? These fans just, dressing it down and stuff like that and all. And look, big up to them, because that's what you want to be doing. You want to support your club, but you want to make it clear how you feel about it. And it wasn't in a violent way or anything like that, but they were letting them know that sort of performance 2 or 3 days or whatever it is before a huge Champions League semi-final is unacceptable. So mad to see it. Daz is in the comments. How are you, Daz? 4-0, I think we score first. I think they could be down. Yeah, absolutely. I hope so. I think if we can control the game in the first 15, 20 minutes, maybe get a goal. And if we can get a goal, I think their heads might drop a bit. And of course, not only do we want to win tonight, I'd like us to score a few goals as well, because you can see that goal difference with Newcastle. If we could put a few goals in there tonight, 2-3 goals, and maybe if Brighton could do something on Thursday, maybe 1 or 2 goals, that could have a huge ramifications in the goal difference situation as well. So let's see how that goes as well. Speaking of, what do I want to go to next? Piers Morgan, a guy who I'm not a huge fan of, but a guy who came out with a tweet the other day yesterday after the Arsenal game, and he kind of summed it up. I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Let me know what you thought of this tweet. Does he sum it up? Does he sum it up properly? Is this how you felt about it after the game and in general? Henry's in first before I bring the tweet up. Could you see that happening with fans in the cup talking to LFC players like that? No, and I don't see it. And you see, the thing about Henry is I don't see that anywhere in the Premier League. I wouldn't see it happening. The closest you'd probably get to it, I would say, probably Millwall, maybe. But you don't see it happening there. I think there's kind of, and some of the Arsenal fans we speak to and who we do be in their chats and stuff like that have said it a number of times. There just seems to be a general acceptance of a lack of performance at times. We've had it this season ourselves and stuff like that, but I don't see it going that far. Now, should it? Should fans be more vocal, but more vocal in more of a forum kind of way to express how they feel about how their team performs? Should they have a right to? Who knows? But again, let us know your thoughts. That's why I thought I'd play it. But I just thought it was just mad between the Espanyol fans chasing the Barcelona players off the pitch trying to celebrate winning La Liga, and then the AC Milan ultras addressing the team. And it looks, if you get the other footage of it from the far side, looking down at the front of the team, it's heated stuff. It's heated stuff, and those boys. Those AC Milan players and Pioli, they stood to attention. They know what it means to those AC Milan ultras. They will not accept lackluster, no doubt about it. But no, I don't think I'd say it, Henry. Redbird's in. All right, Niall, I'm going for 4-0 tonight. Nunes hat-trick and Salah. I think Nunes, am I right in saying, lads, Nunes is out? Nunes is out with a toe or something like that. I don't know. Did he pick it up during the warm-up or something like that? Because he was originally slated to play. What I'm saying here at the moment, I think it's Mo Salah, Curtis Jones, Luis Diaz, and Cody Gakpo kind of up front in whatever combination. So I don't think Nunes is in. Not playing Redbird. Nunes, he's injured. Yeah, that's weird. He was slated to play. Henry and Daz, how are you folks doing? Oh, good. I'm tired. It's all this content creation, Henry. Yo at Redbird, Nunes is out. Yeah, that's it there. I said he was originally in the starting lineup and they obviously took him out. He obviously got injured during the warm-up or something. Let's look at this tweet from Piers Morgan. It says, all over. Totally outplayed by a team that just lost 5-1 to Everton. A horribly lackluster, passion-devoid, spiritless, pathetic performance that cements an inexplicable, dismal run into a season which promised so much. Bottom line, we choked. Let us know your thoughts. Henry's in. Age just caught up on me. We spoke about this last week, Henry. We're not even going to get into age. It was my turn last week. We're not even going to discuss age. Age is but a number, as they say. Ew, how could you, Niall? Absolutely, yeah, no, but we have to talk about this stuff. This kind of sums it up. Does everyone agree with what he said there? Is there anything you disagree with? And again, a lot of the narrative was surrounded against the title race, obviously, but again, the props to Brighton for what they did. They're a really, really good side with some brilliant footballers, and they're just exceptional. The way, like, when you look at the way Brighton play and the way they play out from the back, like, it would give me as a fan or a coach, I don't know how it doesn't give the Serbi nearly a heart attack the way they do it, but they're so comfortable in the way they do it. They don't panic on the ball. You know, the way, like, you look at, say, United, for example, they play the ball out to Maguire. You seen it there a few weeks ago and he coughed up the goal or whatever it was. Absolute panic stations. Those Brighton players pick up the ball, so comfortable in possession. Even when there's a guy on top of them, still comfortable in possession. The boy Steele has come into the goals. He's absolutely outstanding. He was brilliant yesterday. Did you see how he was playing? Sometimes he was picking playing out from the back. He was actually surveying what the situation was on the pitch across the board. And sometimes he was choosing to play out from the back. Sometimes he was going into midfield and just bypassing. And sometimes he was going long. So he mixed it up so much yesterday that Arsenal kind of didn't actually know what Brighton were going to do. And the boy still, you seen him being interviewed after the game. He was absolutely brilliant, and he was being asked, was the coach, is this something to do with the coach? He says, yeah, a lot of it is to do with the coach, but he was kind of saying, sometimes you have to look at the situation, how it unfolds, and you have to make a decision yourself. Absolutely brilliant. Right, where are we? Laugh out loud, yeah, absolutely. Redboard, Henry, what the bloody hell are they doing at Liverpool? Well, it will have to be a Diogo hat-trick instead, yeah, absolutely. I can't get any guess. I've tried everything. I don't really mind, you know this, Henry. I love doing the solos as well. It doesn't bother me at all. It's like my therapy talking to myself into the laptop. Now, it's an acquired taste because it feels kind of weird when you're talking to yourself in the laptop. But you got to remember, Henry, you've got 100 subscribers there and stuff like that to talk to. So you always have to feel that, like when I'm here doing these podcasts, I don't feel like I'm talking to myself now on the laptop. I feel I'm going a bit crazy. I feel like I'm talking to the chat and I'm interacting and I'm doing things. So it's all good. Redbird can't stand pairs. Yeah, most people can't even. Look, Arsenal can't even stand him. He's on the bench, Redbird. It's Gakpo and Diaz with Salah. Ian's saying, what's the crack, Niall? How are you, Ian? I hope you had a good workout. I hope you went for your workout today, you were saying. I was giving the players tons of encouragement to go out tonight and play without fear. Awesome. Hi, Ian. And Redbird's in. I'm giving up predicting any of our games. Absolutely. You're putting the jinx on it, Redbird. Is that what it is? That Redbird, that Statman is live, yeah. Big up to Stevie as well. Check out his channel. We'll be doing a watch along with John, I presume. So we'll check that out during the game, no doubt. Henry's in. Other than you and Warren, everyone else says they can't or won't. It's a madness with the amount of content. Sometimes you just get absolutely banjacks for it. Sometimes you're just a little bit busy. Like I'm doing at the moment. I'm probably doing maybe 6-7 shows a week now at the moment, and it's tiring, and the preparation. You know yourself, Henry, now from prepping your shows, a lot of work goes into them, you know. And Redbird, cheers, Daz. What did we make of this yesterday? I want to get your thoughts on this one as well. I thought this was absolutely hilarious. This was Roy Keane. I don't know if you caught it, talking about Jordan Pickford, and it was brilliant because Mika Richards was talking about how good a goalkeeper Jordan Pickford is, and Keane was just hilarious. Let's listen to this and give us your thoughts after it, yeah. Absolutely hilarious.
Pickford for the goal. My goodness. Looks so small in there. There's no spring. He's not anticipating. Mickey said before the game he's a top goalkeeper. He's not.
Overall, for
what did you make of that? Roy Keane, he's the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he, when you think about it? Like, just Jordan Pickford, he's in the goal. And like he was saying it nearly, he was talking nearly like a dad who was disappointed in his son, wasn't he, really, when you think about it? He was there. Jordan Pickford, he looks so small in the goal. And you're there going, it's like, you know when your kid went in playing football first, and you know when they step up, they start in the small goals and they step up to the big goals. And of course, they look tiny in the big goals because you're so used to seeing them in the small goals. And then they come up against a centre forward who's in there. He was like playing, say, under 12s, but he's like 6 foot, ginormous. Looks like he's been juicing to the gills like Brock Lesnar. And you know, you're on the sideline there, and the striker scores a few goals, and you're going, he looks so small in those goals. You're trying to it's like you're trying to find an excuse to justify the performance of your kid or something like that. But it was so good. Keane, he's just electric and stuff like that, isn't he? Great stuff. I just love Roy Keane when he's on and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. Henry's in. I have one every day, and I've started to double up with 2 shows a day. I tell you, Henry, you have the bit between the teeth now. You're like a racehorse. The bit is between the teeth, and you're off and running. Just keep on plugging away at it. What do they say? The road is long, but the journey will be worth it. That's what they said. I listened to Joe Rogan a few times talking about how long it took him to build up his podcast, and he was at it a long time, and now look at him. Sensational. So who knows? Who knows? Right, I suppose we have to put this up, this graphic. I know it's not going to be very pleasing on the eye to Arsenal fans, but they talk about mathematically and how the title race is still not over from a mathematical point of view. But the permutations are this. If Arsenal lose versus Nottingham Forest on Saturday, Man City will be champions. And I think that's probably going to be the case. If Arsenal draw versus Nottingham Forest on Saturday, and Man City will be Premier League title with a draw or win versus Chelsea. That could be it. So if it's only a draw or a win, then that's the backup really. And if Arsenal win versus Nottingham Forest on Saturday, Man City will be Premier League title by beating Chelsea. So there are your permutations for this weekend coming up. It doesn't make very good reading for Arsenal fans. As Liverpool fans, a lot of us, look, we know how they feel. We were 15 minutes away from winning the league last year. With Stevie in the dugout, Aston Villa, they were absolutely flying. And then Pep does what Pep does. He makes changes to the team. They come on unbelievable. And they steal it right out from underneath their noses. And I firmly believe this. I firmly believe if we had won the league, we probably would have done the quadruple. The wave would have brought us through, I think. But unfortunately not. But that's the race for the title. That's the picture there, the permutations. I think it'll be done by the weekend anyway. Henry's in. I totally agree, Niall. There, Niall, absolutely. Redboard, there's so many LFC channels out there now, it's hard to keep up with them all. Absolutely. And you know, the thing about it is, share it all around and enjoy the ones you do enjoy. I always tend to watch Sam's. I always tend to watch Jamie's. I always watch Dave's. I always watch Coppish. I love Drifty and the boys and stuff like that and all. So I try and watch them all, or I jump in and out of a few of them and stuff like that. If there's watch-alongs going on, I'm always on Steve. I'm always checking out Stevie's in the chat with him and John and stuff like that. Anfield Road TV, Jack, of course, I always support him and Spider and stuff like that. So everyone, just support everyone, you know what I mean? If you can make it, you can make it and stuff like that. There is a lot of them out there. Greys as well and stuff like that. Lots of Liverpool content there at the moment, and the Cop TV one as well that James Redmond used to be on. I haven't seen James in a while actually. Is James producing content still, or what's he doing? Haven't seen James in a while, so I wonder what he's doing. His content was always electric, and Redman TV as well, of course. Had the pleasure of meeting those guys a number of times. Absolutely sound. Had a moment with those guys, I have to say. Tom off Redman TV, he was an absolute gent. My son, when we went to the Kiev final and we lost, was inconsolable. And Tom actually made the point to him that cheered him up to say, don't worry about it, we'll be back next year doing bigger things than we did. So shout out to Tom off Redman TV, an absolute gent. That was on the Cop. We were watching the broadcast of it in Anfield at the time and stuff like that. So Ben was absolutely devastated, as we all were. But I always have time for those boys. Ian's in the comments. I've decided to go to the gym tomorrow. Was feeling a bit tired. 10 a.m. start. Yeah, absolutely. As I said, you know, don't push it too hard. Take your time, build it up slowly. I know Redboard, I gave up following some. That's another reason for going another route, Redboard. I didn't want to be another LFC channel just to do other stuff that might interest people. Absolutely diversify out. That's why I covered a lot of football, not just Liverpool. Because like I'm a football fan as well. I just love football. Redboard, City are already champions. The arseholes, now and overconfident Gooner fans are dreading the major banter and memes coming their way. Yeah, that Redboard, that bigger fish to fry. They could live with that for a while, couldn't they? Bigger fish to fry. That's one that won't go away anytime soon, I'd say. Sometimes things are said in seasons, that when you look back at it, you go, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? Bigger fish to fry. Good game on Saturday. Yeah, absolutely, you know. So I suppose what we have to do is sometimes we look at some of the pundits on telly and stuff like that, and one that I, for obvious reasons, I wouldn't be a huge fan of, but I certainly enjoyed at times the interaction, especially with himself and Keno. But I think we have to go back and look when someone gets it absolutely spot on, and we have to mark that down as a moment. So let's take a look at this one.
I don't see them going on to win the league. I think Manchester City will win the league because I just think that what they've got in them is a special run, Manchester City. I think that at a point in the season, Arsenal will lose 1 or 2 matches and City will be right on the shoulders and it will become very difficult for them. But they could win the league. And to be honest with you, to say that they could win the league, I thought they'd be nowhere near winning the league. Arsenal, I can't believe they're in the chat. No. The fact they're in the chat of winning the league is incredible. So, it's not a negative thing for me to say that I think City will win the league, because that's what we all said probably at the start of the season. And I think City will hunt them down. But they're in with a shout, and that's unbelievable.
It's mad how spot on that was from Gary Neville, isn't it, when you think about it? He was absolutely spot on with what he said there, and that's exactly how it unfolded. And I spoke on a podcast. I think this was at a time where Arsenal were 8 points ahead, and I think they had a chance to go at one stage 11 points ahead going into a game. And I spoke on a podcast, and I know it sounded kind of weird. And what I actually said was, even though Arsenal were 8 points ahead, they were still hunting City down. And that's what happened, and that's what we expected to happen, although I wanted Arsenal to push on and win the title. Because just this kind of near monopoly that Man City have on and stuff like that. And I wanted to speak about it a little bit as well, because I think we're in danger if we're not careful, if the top 5, top 6 teams don't step up this summer and bring in the right amount of players and the quality of players and really upgrade their squads and really take those players in the squad that you don't really believe can deliver a title, or at least a massive title race against Man City. And we need a number of teams to do this. We can't keep on going into this season where it's like City versus Liverpool, or City versus Arsenal, or City versus Man United, or Chelsea, or whatever it is. We need a concerted effort, I think, this season by all these top teams to go out and sign real quality players. And those players that you think are real quality players that are currently in your squad that can't potentially deliver a title, to be benched. They're going to be your squad players. And I think it's really, really important that teams go out and do that, because I think at the moment we really are in danger, if we're not careful, of Man City dominating things potentially for the next decade. We know that the Man United takeover is kind of up in the air. We know that Newcastle are being kind of careful in the way that they progress and bring players in. Eddie Howe's doing a fantastic job, but it's step by step with them. We know there's investment there in Aston Villa and what may happen and stuff like that. And then we see the emergence of the Brightons and the Brentfords and all this kind of thing. Chelsea is going to be obviously huge. They'll have to get their house in order. Whether they can get it done this summer with Poch, or whether it's going to take maybe another year to figure things out. Let's see what happens there. But there's a lot of teams that need to come back much stronger next season with a real purpose about them. We have great moments in the season within this league and stuff like that, but ultimately the league pitters out into what we kind of expect. And that's not a great look. We don't want the Premier League becoming like the French league, or where it's PSG and everyone else, it's Man City and it's everyone else. We want teams to step up now, and especially Arsenal as well. Arsenal this summer really need to step up. They need to figure out, is Mikel Arteta the guy who's going to deliver a title? If he's not, are they going to make a change there? What's going to happen? But they also need to really look at their squad. There's a number of players in that Arsenal squad there that just simply aren't good enough. They may be good enough to pad a bench, potentially, but it looks like even with the money that Arsenal have spent, that they still need potentially 4 or 5 players in who potentially are starters, if they really want to throw down against Man City, because the gap is unbelievable. I looked at it yesterday. They did a shot yesterday where, just before the game kicked off, they went to the subs bench and they went to the City subs bench. And you can see the players that are there, like Grealish, and I don't know who even started yesterday, but you've seen these benches: Grealish, Mahrez, De Bruyne, Foden. You know what I mean? Like most of their, if you take the top 5 players off City's bench, those top 5 players walk into every top 5 team in this league. And that's a real problem. You take any of our benches, be it Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, or whatever it is, not very many of those players walk into a City side, not even walk into a City squad. And that's the real problem. The real problem is when you're making a substitution, you see it there. If they're taking off, let's say they're taking off a Thomas Partey, they're bringing on a Fabio Vieira, the drop off is massive. You know, they can't have that drop off. You know, you take off a Saliba, you bring on a Rob Holding, the drop off is massive. So you can't have that massive drop off. You look at City, you take one cog out of the wheel, put a new cog in, the wheel just keeps on turning, the machine just keeps on spinning. And that's where they have to try and get to now. That's where this has fallen off, and it's really, really important. Henry's back in. City are relying on Haaland staying for years. Yeah, they are. But if you look over the last few weeks, what's happened? Okay, his goals have been sensational, 52 goals or whatever it is. It's been a massive part of their season. But Grealish is a fantastic player this season. Foden, when he's come in, has been unbelievable, even in the now scene. Mahrez is unbelievable. Rodri in midfield is unbelievable. Ake at the back. Look at their back line. Their back line has been revolving and changing all season. Practically seamless. Ederson is always the stableness in there and stuff like that. You know, you have Ruben Diaz, unbelievable. You have Walker in there. You have John Stones. Look how good John Stones been. These players are just getting better and better and better. They'll take out Bernardo Silva. They'll probably bring in Declan Rice. They take out this player. They bring in that player. It's just so seamless. You know, and it's really, really important that we get a handle on that as opposition teams before we let this kind of run away, regardless of whether you want to talk about oil money or sports washing or financial breaches that are out there and all that kind of stuff. Got to try and show up and do the stuff on the pitch and stuff like that and really reel them back in again. Morris is in. Great win for Brighton yesterday. Game plan spot on. Absolutely. It was just a reversal of the Newcastle game, wasn't it? They did their work on you, Morris. And it's a pity. I really wanted all these things to go all the way. I wanted the title race to go all the way. I prefer if the top four didn't. I'd rather be in there than to go on the last day, the relegation battle and all that sort of stuff. And of course, shout out to Southampton and Southampton fans. Sad to see them go down, but again, as we said earlier, if you're going to keep on selling off your crown jewels, you're eventually going to run out of your crown. And that's really what happened. Henry's in. Big up, Morris. Arsenal are the best of the rest by a mile, but that doesn't fill a cabinet, unfortunately. Yeah, best of the rest by a mile this season, without a shadow of a doubt. But I think you're going to see a lot of blowback next year. I think Chelsea will probably potentially sort out their house. It might take a little bit longer with Poch. I think Liverpool will be much stronger next season when they bring in some players. Newcastle, I think, are going to do big things. Especially if they get Champions League football, and United will continue to develop. So it's kind of like it fell away a little bit this season. It felt a little bit weird. It kind of felt like the Leicester season a little bit. I think everyone kind of fell away and Leicester jumped out of the traps. But unfortunately, it just wasn't enough and it fell away towards the end. Hi, Henry. Ian's in. I've never really seen so many schoolboy players throwing themselves down on the pitch, rolling around all in one game in all my life. That's where it's gone, totally. I agree, Ian, they are pussies. Morris is in. If Brighton keeps selling, they could be the Saints in 10 years. That's exactly what I said, Morris. I said that earlier in the show. So Brighton need to be really, really careful because although they have a brilliant scouting system, they have a brilliant coach in there, they have a great squad and stuff like that, but they really need to be careful. If they lose who people think they're going to lose this summer, and I know they have some players coming in to fill some of those gaps and stuff like that, but they're going to potentially have European football next year as well. For the first time, they're going to be playing twice a week, nearly every week. And we'll see how they try and deal with that. We've seen what's happened with West Ham. West Ham are a very good side. They've done really good stuff in Europe over the last couple of seasons, and they've had to sacrifice maybe the league somewhat in terms of what they can do. And you can see the impact that it has on them. But yeah, absolutely spot on. Henry, I think it's a big if, Morris. It is a big if, absolutely. But look, they've done it, They sold Cucurella, they sold players, But this is some of these players that are out there now that are quite glaring from that are really, really tops and are being sought after by big teams who are going to throw absolute cheddar at it to get them as well. When you think about Arsenal going in for Shadow there in January, if they had landed them, if they had got them, would that sign have been enough to push them over? Would that have been enough to push them over the title? Of course, we'll never know. I'd like to have him, to have that player in your squad on the Vale and stuff like that. And who knows, he may have gone to Arsenal and he mightn't have fitted in straight away, or there might have been other things, who knows, but it would have only helped, and I'm sure it would have made a huge difference. Folks, I'm going to leave you with this because we're kicking off in 10 minutes for Leicester versus Liverpool. Fingers crossed we get the win, keep this top 4 race alive. But I'm going to finish with this one. I always think about this when I think about Man City and stuff like that.
The Premier League was 4th. In the last 7 years, Manchester City was champion twice. And if you want to say 3 times, because they will be in one more week, 2, 3 or 4. And they were second twice. That's heritage. Do you know what is also heritage? Is that Otamendi, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, Aguero, they are investments from the past. Not from the last 2 years, from the past. Do you know there are many of United players that left the club last season?
There you go, folks. That's how we round out the show. Football heritage. And of course, you could change it around. You could talk Gundogan. You could talk Grealish. You could talk Foden. You could talk Rodri. You could talk Ruben Diaz. You could talk through the whole team. The whole team. It's unbelievable. Jose should really come out. Jose Mourinho should really come out and he should do a new football heritage and just rattle off the new players. Be absolutely crazy. Morris is in. If West Ham don't win the final, it's been a poor year for them. Absolutely been a poor year for them. They've gambled on Europe. That's what they've done. Their form in the league has been pathetic. Listen, David Moyes said it a few weeks ago when he strung a couple of wins together to climb out of that relegation situation. He said the owners could have sacked me and it probably came close. And that's a fact. But if they lift that silverware, it will have been all worth it because then you're creating history. What's happening, everybody, here in the chat at hashtag the upper tier? It's all good. You'll never walk alone. Come on, you cloppers. Absolutely. Big up to Liverpool. Let's do this, Reds. Until next time, folks, I should be back at 10:15, depending on how I'm feeling with a match reaction and player ratings. If I'm not, I will do it tomorrow. You catch us Wednesday on Dynamo's Dozen at 7 o'clock. We'll be bringing you through all the latest news from the week. Update on Night of Champions, AEW All In, all the usual good stuff on Dynamo's Dozen. You can check that out. Thursday, I'll be back for Thursday Tier Talk with the Dazzler. And of course, throughout the week, you're going to be getting all the shorts, all the TikTok, all the content that you want. Again, hit a like on the video on the way out. Big up to the Reds tonight. I hope they keep it going. Don't want to fall short. And until next time, folks, really appreciate your support as always on the channel. Talk to you again real soon.